And welcome on back, everyone, to another episode of Streaming with the Mouse. Today, we're going to be talking about The Mandalorian, episode 1 of season 3, as it's finally back. So get ready, and you're listening to Streaming with the Mouse. And welcome on back, everyone, to episode 146 of Streaming with the Mouse. We're really getting up there in numbers. I know Colin's looking at me like, oh, wow, a lot more. So yeah, it's established, but welcome back. We're talking about episode 1 of season 3 of The Mandalorian. Excellent episode. My name is Clifton Paul Robinson, and joining me today is a new co-host for the day, as we're getting into the coaching carousel, basically, of co-hosts, Colin Rockwell. How are you doing today? Welcome to the show.
I'm doing great. Watched The Mandalorian last night, had a long day of work today, but now we got Friday off, so we're in it for the long weekend now.
There we go. I know tomorrow is technically the sort of spring break for me, so I actually get slightly a little bit of a break. But I think my Wednesday was made with The Mandalorian coming back. The Apostate episode 1 as really, I don't know about you, and we're going to talk about it as we go through the 5 through 1. And I was talking about it with my brother. It really felt like the most full Star Wars thing we've gotten in a long time. Like, I feel like it just captured everything of Star Wars all at once, but
yeah.
But a little bit of news before Disney is starting to actually get back into releasing content on Disney Plus. The first thing we got 2 days ago was the trailer release of Peter Pan and Wendy. You did not watch that trailer. I did. I actually thought it looked pretty good, and I am not a Peter Pan fan. This is basically just following, again, the story of Peter Pan and Wendy. I think the weird thing is, which really kind of caught me off guard, is the actress playing Wendy is her name's Ever Anderson. Everyone knows her as young Natasha in Black Widow. But if you've ever seen Resident Evil, she is the daughter of Mila Jovovich, who's the main character of it. And I never really paid attention. And then I saw her, I'm like, she looks exactly like her mother, which is just so odd.
You said she's playing Wendy?
She's Wendy, yeah.
Okay.
So that, and the other one, you watched this trailer and I didn't, is the trailer for The Haunted Mansion, which is going to be a rebrand for Disney as a movie on Disney Plus. How did it look?
Honestly looked pretty good. They're definitely trying to balance a little bit of horror scariness into it while still keeping it a Disney movie, which just from the trailers looked pretty good. And then of course they have the Disney humor because you have Owen Wilson and Danny DeVito, which will be great.
Yeah, I'm looking at this cast and it's almost one of those things where I don't see how it can be bad. Jamie Lee Curtis is in it, Owen Wilson, Rosario Dawson, Jared Leto, Winona Ryder, Danny DeVito. Like, this is just an insane cast altogether.
I don't think there was any shots of Winona Ryder or Jared Leto in the trailer.
They seem to be keeping a lot of people kind of under wraps for this, and I think
Jamie Lee Curtis, actually, yeah.
And I think they're just from the look of it, they're probably trying to follow like the Muppets route, where like it's a lot of guest stars with it. But it's nice to see, as I've kind of complained in the past couple months, Disney hasn't really given us anything to review. The latest episode of The Bad Batch, which also released on the Mandalorian Day, absolutely incredible, but I think it's going to get overshadowed by this Mandalorian episode. But we're going to jump into it. So basically, as always, as Colin gets to learn now, we do 5 through 1. So your top 5 moments from the episode. And this is chapter 17, The Apostate. And basically, the Mandalorian begins an important journey. So number 5, you can start first. You can go first with your number 5 thing from this episode.
Number 5 favorite thing from this episode. Let's see. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I didn't actually rank them. I wrote down some moments, but
that's the thing. Some people are like, and it's fine if you don't go in order, because it can be a lot of things.
All right. So if I'm not going to go completely in order, one of my favorite moments wasn't even a moment, but it's how well they use the Mandalorian theme throughout the episode in different ways. And not just have it be the same song. Like, most notably, towards the end during the space fight, they had a little bit of a twist on the theme, and it just jumped out to me, and I'm like, this is why the Mandalorian slaps. Because they use the theme, not just in the theme, they rebrand it in different shots for what's going on. Even back to Book of Boba Fett, they snuck it in there a little bit. But the theme of the show is just incredible.
I hate you because this is literally my number 5 on my iPad. I have the composer up as it just doesn't score. I did the exact same thing because I just kept noticing. I watched it twice, and on the second time, I just kept hearing, like you said, little things added,
Hmm.
points here and there, and this was kind of an interesting start to it because this is the first season where Ludwig Göransson is not the main composer on this. Yes, he still gets credit for creating the Mandalorian theme, but they've switched to Joseph Shirley, and I thought incredible job, and it just really captured it. And like you said, the use of different music here and there with the Mandalorian theme was just so incredible
Hmm.
that I just find that that's really funny that that was the first thing for both of us. So number 4.
Another thing that stood out to me a little bit this episode. I don't know if they're doing it on purpose or not, but it's almost like they're trying to develop Grogu more, as in the ways like where in right near the beginning, when Mando first arrives back to the cult, and he sits down with her and they're talking, and it's almost like seems like the way they have it framed, it looks like Grogu is like actually kind of comprehending what they're saying at the table with them, which was kind of cool. And then later in the episode where he's teaching him on his wow, on his ship
Hmm.
about hyperspace, how to navigate, whatnot. It seems like they're trying to build him up to be more than just a puppet, basically, and a cute little figure.
Even though
So
they
I'm
just
excited to
throw him.
see if they continue that trend or if that was just me looking too deep into it.
Well, here's the question: do we get Grogu talking by the at least like baby words by the end of
Hmm.
this season? I think so. I think
I
like you
don't
say,
know.
like we're getting to the point where it's yes, he's the cute baby, but you need it can't be the Mandalorian forever. You need
Hmm.
Grogu to go on with it. That's a good,
Yeah.
and it's I think you're right. Like he's starting to learn, it's starting to understand.
Hmm.
And I think I mean from the trailer we know like he'll be force pushing people out of the cave. So we know he's becoming much
Hmm.
more aware of it. And I mean John Favreau said that between Grogu joining Luke and then getting like he was with Luke for 2 years.
Hmm.
Obviously, that's not a lot in Yoda species time, but it's still more. So
Yeah.
it's interesting. I think you need to have him be developed more than just the cute baby.
Yeah. We did
Um,
have a ton of the cute baby scenes, though, of
oh, of
course.
course. I thought yeeting him was really funny. They just
We just tossed
threw
the
him,
baby.
just
Yeah.
tossed him, and it looked like such a puppet toss too,
Hmm.
which I really just it really cracked me up.
Of
But
course,
my
we
number
got him
four,
pulling some snacks as well to eat
of course.
mid
Yep.
episode and
M and
spinning in the
M's.
chair.
M&Ms are now canon in
Yeah,
the in the Star Wars galaxy. But 4 for me, and I think I don't know. Did you watch Rebels?
yeah.
As okay,
I
great.
watched the whole show. Yeah.
I think that the second scene. When they were space traveling through hyperspace and falling asleep, and Grogu looks out into hyperspace and sees the Purgle flying
Hmm.
side by side with him. While it was just a beautiful moment, and for people that haven't watched Rebels, Purgle are the hyperspace whales that pretty much I think discovered hyperspace. I think that's kind of what the lore moves towards,
Yep.
and it kind of takes the Avatar approach, which Dave Filoni really does because that was where he started. Was in Avatar was the animals did something first that then people learned to copy. But while the Purgle were cool and seeing Grogu connect with them, I think this is a foreshadow of what's to come in the Mandalorian and also the Ahsoka show, where we
Oh, true.
know, and that's why I saw the program like, oh, we're getting the hint all together, and
Hmm.
it would make a lot of sense. At least the way to tie in Ahsoka and the Mandalorian is through Sabine, who is looking for Ezra, who is doing all these things, but is also a Mandalorian and someone who wielded the dark saber before. So I think we're moving towards this connection where it's not Mando and Ahsoka, it's Mando and Sabine working together for this end.
Yeah.
We don't know when Ahsoka's truly coming out. We were told mid to late 2023. So hopefully soon. But
Probably get
I
a trailer
think
for
we
that in the
get.
next few months.
I hope so. I don't know. I think it's gonna be characters in the Mandalorian first. Trailer comes
Oh,
after.
you think they'll show up this season?
Absolutely. We're
Oh,
getting at
yeah,
least
yeah,
one person this
yeah.
season. I don't know who it's going to be. I bet we get at least. I don't know if we'll get Ahsoka, but we'll definitely. I think Sabine makes too much sense because of just
all
the
the Mandalore.
Mandalorian impact of it. But yeah, that's the Purgle. I might be looking too deep into it. It might have just been a beautiful hyperspace moment for Grogu.
It was nice
I'm
to see more of hyperspace than just the tunnel we always see.
That's what I thought was cool. I just don't get how Din was able to sleep through it. If I had this
He was out.
giant blue light circulating through, I could not sleep. But
I always forget that hyperspace, they basically go on autopilot.
that's what it is. It is.
So seeing him taking a nap just reminds you of that.
Yeah, that's true. 3. We're down to the top 3 now. Not in order for you, but
let's see. What else did I have here? I mean, maybe not a top moment. Maybe it is a top moment. But seeing Babu's species was hilarious.
I think one of them was Babu.
Was it?
I
don't know if they were directly, but seeing them was pretty funny.
That whole scene, that was like peak bad Star Wars comedy, which was just so enjoyable. With the way he because it's you finally are introduced to something, to a sentient being that's smaller than Grogu. And like Din yelling, not a pet, not a pet. It was a good thing. I liked Carl Weathers going back and forth. Like, no, I can tell you what they're saying. But that's a good. I didn't even think about talking about them for it.
It was just funny to see them again.
But I think I don't know if should be higher. I actually 3. I'll talk about Bo-Katan. I think it's so interesting to see this character decline the way you've seen all of Clone Wars and Rebels, and basically it's always been Katie Sackhoff. So it's one of the few times voice actor translates to live action. They fixed her wig. It actually did not look like a wig for once.
That's true. Yeah.
Finally,
she did look different.
And all she was doing was brooding because she can never actually lead Mandalore the way her sister did or any of the previous Darksaber holders could do. I don't think I thought she was going to be a villain this season, and you can give me your opinion on it, but I thought she was going to be, but the way she acted in the end of this episode, she just seems so defeated and not like she's like done. Like she's going to have her resurgence, but I don't think she was like fully. She's not evil. I think she's just so defeated in everything that it's not really worth it for her anymore.
Yeah, I would pretty much fully agree with that. It seemed. Well, just taking a little bit of a step back, but it seemed like from the recap, it seemed like we were going to get him immediately going to Mandalore this episode, but then they basically just rehashed the recap throughout the episode as kind of a setup for them going to Mandalore.
Yeah.
And her at the end was kind of a final little cherry on top of that little recap of their recap episode.
Yeah. I don't think we're getting Mandalore next week. I think it's the whole thing now. He has to find the IG-11 processor. So
and I was going to find his robot.
Of course, well, everything with every single Mandalorian arc, it's Mando has to do something. Okay, for Mando to do this, he has to do these 3 side quests. It's basically he's playing a video game. He keeps having to do side quests to get back to the main quest. But I don't know where it's going to go from that. But we'll see.
I feel like she definitely will come back. Obviously,
I remember them saying she was billed at least. Maybe not top build, but she was at least supporting. But in Star Wars, supporting can be 2 episodes but who knows? Number 2, we're getting into the home stretch here.
Number 2, where was mine? I had a good one. I have the episode on the side right now, just like scrolling through to remind me of things. But is this my number 2? I've kind of gone out of order, but regardless, just all the different alien species that they just introduce every episode or just show, it's just nice to see. You don't just see a bunch of humans in a Star Wars show. They have a bunch of aliens. They all look good. I mean, even at the end, the pirate, or not the second to the last scene, but the Pirate King, just a big mossy dude, just another weird alien they're showing in a galaxy because the galaxy is not just full of humans.
I have a feeling,
as we like to think.
I have a feeling that this episode might have given Derek villain ideas for D&D. But no, that's the best point, and I think it's interesting to talk about. I think MCU gets watered down by Disney Plus, but Star Wars seems to thrive in it. That's kind of my hot take of it, where Star Wars treats the Disney Plus shows like the art form, and you see this beautifully created universe with these characters. You see they're not they're not CGI. Yes, they are CGI
Hmm.
parts, but they're costumes. These
Yeah.
aliens are in these crazy, uh, ridiculous costumes that work so
Hmm.
well, and even the whatever the monster pirate lord was, that was still something new and something that just really was interesting. It seemed out of place, but it works because, like you said,
Hmm.
Star Wars is not just human. While the main characters are but mostly, there's a lot of very interesting, creepy looking side characters, and
Hmm.
even just like everything with Marvel, even with Ant-Man, all of that was just like green screen. All this was green screen. Everything with the Mandalorian, while yes, they have the incredible 3D soundstage, that's not green screen though. They also, that opening scene, which is, we'll talk about at least for my number one in a second. That whole opening scene with the alligator monster, that was shot in Florida. That was all like real location,
Makes
and the
sense for
monster
alligator
was
monster.
real. The monster was real. No, but like they treat it like it is the film and the art that it should be, and not just this green screen churn out, which I personally really like, and I think a lot of
Hmm.
people did. I thought it like looked very beautiful. Just the whole
Yeah.
episode really worked. We've made it. You're almost through with your first episode. You've almost done it. You're number one. I gave away mine, but
Um, I mean, one of the last four I said is definitely my number one. But another thing I really did like was the contrast from Navarro from the first episode that we saw it in to now, and how much it's changed. How they keep cultivating that one spot that we keep coming back to, as opposed to a lot of the times the show will go to a place and then just forget about it and never go back there again, or just mention it. It's nice to see stuff actually does change.
yeah, that's
Even when
yeah.
we first got there, Alexa didn't even recognize it. She's like, "This place changed a lot." I'm like, "Yep."
It was like it was a desolate planet originally that was just
Hmm.
the guild. It was the bounty hunter guild, and now it's this beautiful, thriving. They turned the bar into a school,
Hmm.
and I think I saw it on Reddit. I don't know if you've looked over the episode stuff, where someone was like, "It's going to make a lot of sense." Where the one of the major arcs of the season is going to be the pirates attack Navarro, and once Mando has been cleaned and is no longer in exile, he's going to lead the Mandalorians to help liberate Navarro from the pirates, which makes a
Yeah.
lot of sense.
Yeah.
Um, it might not happen, but I mean, they're gearing up for some confrontation between it.
Hmm.
That's yeah, Navarro. What it's become is incredible, and
Yeah.
it's an interesting contrast to without the Republic's help.
He was saying that too. Yeah. It's like without the Empire, without the Republic.
My honorable mention before number one is the hilarious way they dealt with Cara Dune. I
Oh yeah, I
thought
was gonna
that
bring that up. I forgot about that.
I I love the joke on Twitter where they have like you can in iMovie you can literally make a Star Wars movie, you can make a Star Wars scroll, and I love
Hmm.
the like Cara Dune crashed her X-wing and died. And then it's like it keeps scrolling and goes LOL. And I thought it was a great way to do it. Did you get anyone in mind when it said they need a sheriff? I have an idea who it's going to be.
Well, I mean, obviously the sheriff from Boba Fett, but he
That's what
did
I think.
mention
I
that.
think Cobb
Didn't he
Vanth.
mention him?
Did he? I guess I have to rewatch, but I would love. I
I
think
think
Cobb Vanth. It makes a lot of sense for it.
yeah.
Um, I could also picture Cobb getting a new Mandalorian suit, but we'll see.
Also,
Um,
Timothy Oliphant is just permanently playing a sheriff at this point in his career.
Exactly. Timothy Oliphant. He also played a great stoner dad in a Netflix weird zombie show that I'm still upset Netflix canceled in Santa Clarita Diet. But my number one was the opening scene where we saw how the children of the whatever they are, the cult, the Mandalorian cult, how they indoctrinate their children. We got
Hmm.
confirmation that basically that kid was that giant Vizsla that John Favreau voices. It's his son taking the creed. But just the whole fight with that giant alligator monster was just so incredible that I was just kind of blown away with the way it looked. Every single every single episode one of a Mandalorian season fights some giant monster. We got the
Oh, yeah.
what's it called? We got the Mudhorn in episode
Hmm.
one. We got the Krayt Dragon in season two, and
Yep.
now we have whatever that alligator monster is. They know how to do these like terrifying creatures very
Hmm.
well. Um, And that's Mandalorian. Anything else to add for the first episode of
I mean,
Mandalorian season 3?
the whole pretty much cold open of
It
her
was, yeah.
crafting the helmet, bringing it out. The cult did have a lot of parallelisms to religion in that first scene too, basically baptizing him in the water. That was something else Alex pointed out. I was like, what are they just baptizing this kid? I'm like, that's pretty much what they're doing. They're indoctrinating him into their cult.
Yeah, I originally thought the Armorer was being set up to be an excellent villain. That's the thing. They're setting up these people that might be villains and they're not, which I think is good. I don't think the Armorer at the moment should be a villain. Obviously, she's the leader of a cult. But obviously this cult stems from Clan Vizsla, which, if you know the lore, Katie Sackhoff's Bo-Katan is affiliated with Clan Vizsla. So it's all this weird thing, and I still think that this watch stems from the Maul, from the Mandalorians, who any of the Mandalorians that followed Maul after he beheaded Pre-Vizsla. We'll see. I'm gonna add one more
so you think
thing.
they descended from them?
I think that because why the Armorer has the horns, which would make sense. Again, we'll see. I do want to add one thing. What was it? I don't know if you listened to it, but what is it? The Lights Camera Pod.
Yep.
The Barstool podcast.
Did they do a review of it already?
No, I don't know. I don't.
Okay.
Fun fact: I don't listen to podcasts. Ever since I made my own podcast, I don't listen to podcasts.
Oh, okay.
That's just been that's my line in the sand. Like, okay, I do enough of this. They had Freddie Prinze Jr. on for an interview, and Freddie Prinze Jr. spoiled that the final scene of Rogue One, the Darth Vader hallway scene, was directed by Dave Filoni. So anyone recently that said Dave Filoni has kind of lost his touch with Star Wars, Rogue One, best scene, not best scene of Rogue One, but one of the most memorable scenes of Rogue One.
I don't know, but could be best.
It could be. There's a lot of Rogue One's just great, but I just wanted to add that. But thank you for coming on. I hope you enjoyed our nice little Disney Plus podcast.
And now I can be better prepared for the next one.
Exactly. That's the thing.
We go 5 through 1. I can write down my list and order this next time.
The first one's always the hardest, but you do get to say where you are on social media if you would like to shamelessly plug yourself.
I won't shamelessly plug, but if you send me the link for this, I can share it on my Twitters and whatnot.
There we go. And
so I can plug the pod.
I will plug. We play live D&D almost every. What day is it now? Is it Wednesday or Tuesday?
It should be Wednesdays.
Every Wednesday night on Colin's streamer account on Twitch on Cerulean TV. You can find the pod on Twitter at Stream the Mouse, on Instagram at Streaming with the Mouse, and if you're looking to branch out, you can watch us on YouTube. Any other streaming service provides the podcast, and you can find me at CP Robinson81. So for Colin Rockwell, my name is Clifton Paul Robinson signing off. We'll see you next week for The Mandalorian Episode 2. Have a good one, guys.
Thank you.